Bob Dylan's 1975 ballad Hurricane does more than recount a sensational crime. It exposes how racial prejudice can bend evidence, tilt juries, and cage the innocent. Let's step with Dylan's lyrics into 1966 New Jersey.
Pistol shots ring out in a barroom night. Enter Betty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees a bartender in a pool of blood. Cries out, my God, they killed them all. Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world.
Here comes the story of the hurricane. Dylan declares, turning a boxer's ring nickname into a siren that warns of judicial storm clouds ahead. From the first barroom gunshot to the clang of a prison door, the song tracks how bias seeps into our stage. Suspicion, arrest, trial, conviction, until an athlete once destined for a title belt is framed as a killer. In charting Robin Carter's fall, Dylan indicates a justice system where skin color can outweigh evidence. A warning that still echoes whenever verdicts are shaped more by prejudice than by proofs. In the next section, we slow the record and zoom in on two pivotal verses, tracking how Dylan's storytelling exposes racial bias from flashing lights to jury box.
Meanwhile, far away in another part of town, Reuben Carter and a couple of friends are driving around. Number one contender for the middleweight crown. Had no idea what kind of shit was about to go down when a cop put him over to the side of the road. Just like the time before and the time before that. In Patterson, that's just the way things go. If you're black, you might as well not show up on the street unless you wanna draw the heat.
Dylan pivots abruptly from a blood-soaked barroom to a routine traffic stop, far away in another part of town, juxtaposing violent crime with the mundane act of driving to show how suspicion can leave geographic and logical gaps when the suspect is black. The contrast makes the Carter's harmless cruise mirror the earlier chaos, suggesting that race, not evidence, linked the two things. Just before this verse, the violin treats a brief ascending scale, while the overall tempo eases from brisk to steady, preparing the listener for the narrative shift. Once the lyrics begin, the accompaniment locks into two repeating chords. Each clean downward guitar strum is met by a punctual snare hit, and the lightly pulsed kick drum keeps the beat moving without haste. The whirlpool repeats, just like the time before and the time before that, signaling that Carter's stop is not an isolated incident, but a part of a long-running pattern in which black has been singled out again and again. Dylan delivers his blunt test accusation next. Structurally, the conditional clause operates as an auxiliary aside, spelling out the unwritten rules of Patterson's trait. The alternate diction of show up and draw the heat underscores how cultural racial profiling has become, while the indefinite you universalize the warning. By isolating Carter from crime scene yet casting immediately suspicion on him, Dylan lays bare a judicial pipeline that picks its defendant first and looks for evidence later. The verse foreshadows reality now logged by the National Registry of Exonerations. Black defendants account for 54% of U.S. murder exonerations, while comparison only 30% of the population. Dylan's purpose is clear, show reason operating not as a real move function but as routine procedure, sparking outrage before any facts ever reach the docket. Infusing lyrics and music, the song drives home the global issue of racial bias in the judicial system, revealing how prejudice take hold the instant police light ignites, long before jury is even sworn in. Moving to this courtroom verse, Dylan begins with a metaphor. All of Rubin's cards were marked in advance, turns the entire trial into rigid card game, signaling that chance and fairness have been removed before play begins. The compound work as metaphor plus oxymoron, pigs suggest filth and corruption, circles showmanship. Together, they brand the proceeding dirty theater, not justice. The judge inserts cowling defense witnesses drawn cuts from the slum. His character assassinations loaded episode. It shifts attention from testimony to social class and by extension race, tightening the bias. Dylan then applies antithetical parallelism to the spectators. White onlookers label Carter's a revolutionary bomb. Black onlookers accept him as crazy niggers. The parallel structure exposes prejudice on both sides and shows internalized racism, where even Joseph Cater's own race echoes the courthouse script instead of questioning it. Furthermore, the former reinforces meaning. A chain of power tactic, declarative clauses function as judicial listing, mimicking legal minutes entered without challenge and leaving the listener no possible doubt. Also, there is a dramatic irony. No one doubted he pulled the trigger. Although they could not produce a gun, facts are absent, yet certainty prevails, confirming Dylan's theme that race, not evidence, determines guilt.
Cards were marked in advance. The trial was a pig circus, he never had a chance. The judge made Reuben's witnesses drunkards from the slums. To the white folks who watched, he was a revolutionary bum. And to the black folks, he was just a crazy nigger. No one doubted that he pulled the trigger. And though they could not produce the gun, the DA said he was the one who did the deed, and the old white jury agreed.
The most chilling lines are delivered not by Dylan alone, but a southern female harmony, layering condemnations on crazy neighbor and opposing trigger. The extra voice widens the chorus of prejudice and makes the slur ring like a community verdict. Even the prosecution's missing gun cannot disrupt the momentum, because the first all-white jury completes the pipeline: selection, smear, conviction. Dylan aims to reveal that racism is built into everyday legal practice, not an occasional glitch, a reality later measured by Duke University research. All-white jury pools convict black defendants 60% more often than whites, a gap that nearly vanishes when even one black jury participates. By fusing skating imagery, color texture, and statistical foresight, the verse demonstrates how a legal game, market cards, carnival rings, unanimous jury can override facts, crystallizing the global issue of racial bias in the courts and leaving listeners both informed and unsettled.
Yes, that's the story of the hurricane, but it won't be over till they clear his name and give him back the time he's done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world.
Hurricane ends, yet the storm its name keeps circling. In 8 minutes, Dylan shows how an innocent man can be turned into a courtroom spectacle, provided the accuracy is black, sirens, slurs, and all-white jury. The verse list sounds historic, but today's exonerations never prove the script still runs. Dylan's power lies in refusing to let the drama play quietly. Rowe reportedly refused to reinforce the public inside the tree. Half a century later, the needle still drops, the violin still accents, and the warning still echoes. What changes whether we finally hear it?